What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for Axis Football gameplay coming up tonight, but wanted to start off by taking a look at their franchise mode. You see team morale new for this year, but the main navigation stays the same. A lot of the things people liked about this game still there as well. Because it is a fictional league, it is hard to know who the best players are, so the yearly and weekly awards come in handy. You also have the availability to go now and spectate games in and out of your tier, whether it is the playoffs or not, and you also have a global stat track per game, which shows exactly what happened as far as numerically and the best players. Obviously, one of the big parts last year that a lot of people liked was the visual aspect of knowing everything about your team, from lowest pass yards to highest, all those things. The stat tracking in this game globally is still fantastic with just about every meaningful category and the top 50 players in those categories. So this would be a look at the best halfbacks and backup halfbacks in the league. A little bit of change to how the depth chart is done. You can see starter, not starting, and starter at another position if you're trying to sub in players, like a wide receiver for a tight end. You now have the ability to globally unsign and release all unsigned players when sorting by contract years. The injury wheel returns, as well as varying healing time for players' injuries, and then obviously a full, accurate free agency market where you can go out and sign players for multiple years if needed. You also have the availability of an extension in terms of the draft to go to 2021 or a 3-year draft pick window, which is very nice. You also have, as we talked about in the beginning, morale coming into play. You can see here what affects team morale and what team morale affects, and those all go back to franchise building. Another big inclusion this year was the coaching staff, 16 positions with coordinators, position coaches, and scouts. You see the D-line expert badge, which will carry across if you're team building. So if he becomes a head coach, if he becomes an assistant coach, those stay with him. You also have full free agency for the coaches, as well as new faces for the coaches and players. The scouting is something we've talked about as well, but goes through and helps you draft the best player. In terms of the draft, the team guide returns. Very nice that it shows you not only the areas you need as far as the players you have, but also suggested draft replacements if you're building your team. Again, fictional leagues make this a little bit difficult. As far as the draft itself, pretty much the same as it was the year before. You also now have the inclusion of practice, which varies how your team is going to perform from one week to the next, but also permanently changes those players. And then obviously the facilities is something they brought on as far as your stadium, training, rehab, and transportation. All of that impacts how your team operates on a weekly and yearly basis, and all of it is rooted in how much money you can afford to spend on improving your team, which comes down to the financial report you see here. So I know it was only about 3 minutes to go through all that, but a lot of things included in this game. I know gameplay, meaningful gameplay to all these things matters to a lot of people. I will have some gameplay up relatively shortly, but I wanted to share this with you first so you guys get an idea of what the franchise will offer, since it is going to be the main selling point for this game. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking it out. I will be back very shortly with more commentary.